We talk a lot about the ships that did sail, the record breakers, the ocean queens, the icons like the Titanic, Olympic, and the Queen Mary. But today we're looking at a ship whose fate was decided before she ever left the slipway. A ship that never launched in our timeline. The Austro-Hungarian flagship that died in silence. The SS Kaiserin Elizabeth. But what if she didn't? What if a ship cancelled by war became a weapon because of war? What if the Kaiserin Elizabeth was never cancelled? Welcome back to the Roads Letter Taken 1930, where I explore history and alternate history. Before we dive into this alternate timeline, let's just briefly explore the history of the ship that should have been. Every great ocean liner begins in a dream of steel. For the Austro-Hungarian Empire in the early 1910s, that dream was the SS Kaiserin Elizabeth, intended as a flagship of the Austro-America line, a major Trieste-based shipping company, operating routes to North America and South America. They carried both immigrants seeking new life and wealthy passengers traveling between Europe and the Americas. She was to sail from Trieste, the empire's greatest port on the Adriatic, across the Atlantic to New York and Buenos Aires, showcasing Austria-Hungary's modern engineering and global ambition. At nearly 15,000 gross tons and capable of 20 knots, she would have been one of the empire's largest and fastest ocean liners. By the summer of 1914, construction at the Monfalcone shipyard, a major naval and merchant shipyard near the Gulf of Trieste, was well advanced. Her hull was complete, her engines were being installed, and then the storm broke. The assassination at Sarajevo triggered the Great War Machine. The guns of August tore Europe apart. Shipbuilding halted across the empire. Almost overnight, workers were conscripted, budgets were frozen. The unfinished hull of the Kaiserin Elizabeth was left to gather dust. When Italy joined the Entente in May of 1915, siding with France, Russia, and Britain against its former allies, the Monfalcone shipyard became a target. Italy sought to take the control of the Adriatic coast. The Austro-Hungarian naval bases and shipyards became high valuable objectives. Italian artillery shelled the yard relentlessly. The Kaiserin Elizabeth was hit, battered, and ultimately written off. She was scrapped where she lay. A magnificent dream that never launched. But that was our timeline. In this timeline, the Austro-Hungarian command sees something no one else does. They see a hull capable of 20 knots. They see space for thousands of men. They see the future of a troop transport. In autumn 1914, the Army strikes a desperate deal. Finish the machinery, forget the luxury. We need speed, we need capacity, we need her now. The shipyard works throughout the autumn and winter. First-class staterooms become troop bunks. Mahogany becomes plywood. Carpets become steel decking. She is painted naval gray, commissioned under a new military name, SMS Vertebris Unitaris, with United Forces, which is what the name translates to. Yes, the same proud name carried by the Empire's battleship class. She is incomplete, but the engines built for transatlantic service are powerful, fast, and reliable, just in time. Italy is on the verge of entering the war. Monfalcone will fall. The ship will be lost. An order is given to her captain, flee. Under the cover of a massive storm, the half-finished SMS Vertibris Unitaris slips out of Monfalcone, hugging the coastline and racing towards Pola, the Empire's main naval base, located at the southern tip of the Istrian Peninsula. Italian patrol boats spot her and open fire, but she is fast, far faster than any inspection expected. She'll slam into her hull, but the engines, built for luxury crossing, save her. She arrives in Bolta, battered, leaking, but alive. The Kaiserin Elizabeth has been saved from the scrapyard only to become a soldier of the sea. The troopship years, 1915 to 1918. For the rest of the war, the Vertibris Unitaris becomes the Empire's fastest and most reliable transport. She runs men and supplies across the Adriatic under constant threat of enemy patrols and submarines. She's not glamorous, she's not elegant, but she is indispensable, and then the war ends. Austria-Hungary dissolves, borders change, navies vanish. The SMS Unitaris becomes a ship without a country. In the chaotic liquidation of the Empire's old assets, the ship is sold at auction to Giacomo Costa fu Andrea, the founder of what would become eventually the Costa Line, a major Italian shipping company known today for its cruise fleet. The Costa renames the ship the SS Kaiserin, an homage to the Italian acclaimed city that had been home of port of so many cancelled dreams, and a symbol of its return to Italy after the war. Costa spends years refitting the old transport into the liner she was always meant to be. By the mid-1920s, she finally sails as a proper passenger ship. Elegant, fast, and distinctive. For the first time in her life, the Kaiserin Elizabeth fulfills her intended destiny. The Depression and a return to war. Then comes 1929. The Great Depression guts transatlantic travel. Running a 20-knot steamship becomes ruinously expensive with half-empty passenger lists. Costa Line faces a hard truth: they cannot afford her. But Italy, pursuing a major military campaigns in Africa and expanding its colonial presence, can. So once again, the former Kaiserin Elizabeth becomes a troopship. By 1935, she is stripped, repainted, and pressed into military service as a transport. Again. She had run the gauntlet to escape destruction as a troopship, only to become one again. When World War II erupts in 1939, the SS Kaiserin is already in uniform. She becomes a workhorse of the Italian war effort, carrying supplies to Libya and reinforcements to the Balkans and equipment throughout the Mediterranean. Highlights on range stalk her constantly. British aircraft hunt her relentlessly, but she survives somehow. By 1945, she is a wreck, streaked, riddled with patch plates, her interior gutted by decades of military service. The Allies sees her as a war prize, too old, too damaged to rebuild. She is quietly laid up. She fades into obscurity again. By the early 1950s, Alistair Finch, obsessed with lost liners, discovers a rusting hulk in a forgotten Italian backwater. He recognizes the lines immediately. This forgotten troopship, this forgotten hulk, was the SS Kaiserin Elizabeth. Finch financed the ship for almost nothing. His goal is not to rebuild her as a luxury liner, nor to restore her, but to restore her as a living museum, an homage to the Austro-Hungarian dream cut short by war. The refit takes 5 years. His fortune evaporates, but by 1957 she sails again, not as Vertebrus Unitaris, not as terrestrial, but as proudly, beautifully, SS Kaiserin Elizabeth. The ship that was never made her maiden voyage, finally becomes the ship she was meant to be. She spends her final decades as the world's most unique floating museum, part of the Austro-Hungarian grandeur, part Italian immigrant heritage, part wartime survivor. 3 names, 3 empires, 2 world wars, 1 impossible life. That is the story of the Kaiserin Elizabeth, a ship built for luxury, ultimately saved by war, nearly destroyed by peace, and resurrected by passion. A ship that lived through 3 lives and survived everything the history threw at her. But if you look at the elegant hull, her shining superstructure, her restored Austrian Hungarian colors, you can't help but wonder, what if the guns of August had waited? What kind of legendary liner would she have become? If you enjoyed this alternate history voyage, hit that like button and subscribe for more forgotten ships, dead ends, designs, and unrealized giants. What ship should I explore next? Let me know in the comments below. This is the Royal Master Tekin 1930, signing off. Until next time.